Well, the St. Pratt was shortened from St. Protus and the St. Hyacinths. They were the patronal feast. The patronal feast of St. Pratt was from two martyred brothers, and they are the patron saints of Lisbon. And of course, that's known locally as St. Pratt's. And they laugh when they hear of St. Pratt's. It never struck me as being anything funny about St. Pratt's. But, we've accepted that. Always been St. Pratt's. And of course, another thing, years ago, we always had fine weather. And that was always known as St. Pratt's Drive. And it never varied. We never expected rain. We never had rain. We'd have a public tea on the village green, and to be prepared days beforehand. The tables would be set up, and that morning everybody would lay out the cloths and the food. Well, you never thought of taking umbrellas. Never had rain. So that was widely known as St. Pratt's Drive. Well, on the Sunday, they would start with a service in the church, and then they'd have this procession to the cross, which is that cross just outside the village. Or they'd have the band, usually St. Brewer, which is our neighbour, of course, neighbour in parish. And then we would walk to the cross with the clergy and the choir, the Mothers' Union, with their banner, and I was one of them. Then we had all the villagers and visitors. It was an annual thing when everybody connected with Lisbon, born in Lisbon probably, used to come home for St. Pratt. You would meet all your friends. Perhaps that's the only time of the year you would meet your friends. And on the village green would be like a car park with people who had cars. They'd all park on the green, and then there would be clusters of people in their little groups comparing notes of what had happened to them over the year.
One minute.
I'm accustomed to all that. I've been on that thing before.
Right.
So far I got to go back to St. Pratt, and then they'd come back and have their tea, of course. But not the Sunday. This would be on the Wednesday they'd have the tea. I've mixed it up a bit. The Sunday would be the celebration of the services. The Monday would be the fair, when we would take all our animals to be sold in the village. And that would be the fair for all the farmers within reach of the village. They come from several miles, driving their bullocks, keep the kids home from school, and they would be there helping to keep them from going in the side roads, because if they galloped off into the side roads, that would be the end of them for the fair that day. Well, then they would have stalls selling everything from, coats, jackets, down to leather bootlaces. Everything almost outside, big stall outside the gates in the village. That would be in the village on the Monday. Then the Wednesday we would have the fair day. That would be fair. Wednesday we would have the sports day. Just so many years ago, I've almost forgotten. But the sports day, that would be in a field outside the village. And then we would have horse racing and jumping and big races and sports of all kinds. And we even had Mr. Roberts from Grand Pound up with his horses. Oh, Progress. Have you ever heard of Progress? And Landlord Progress would come every year, and that one would take all the prizes, all the jumping for the prizes.
Horse jumping?
Horse jumping, yes. And Landlord, he'd bring occasionally, but that one used to kick viciously. I kept clear, everybody kept clear of that one. But they would attract the spectators, we'd get the field would be full of people milling around. And then the kids would have their races and end up in tears if they didn't win. Well, then they'd be promised this tea on the village green. Then that would be all right. They'd all troop down about half a mile, I suppose, out of the village. We'd all troop back to the village, and there would be the tea. And that would end the day for the children, but we used to have a dance for the grown-ups in the evening to finish off that. Well, what I was thinking, that it was always combined with the harvest festival for the church. Of course, that would be decorated beautifully. Everybody would have a hand in that. And all the produce would be taken to the hospital the next day. After the Sunday, that would finish it in the church. After the Sunday, that all the produce would be taken to the hospital. Well, now today, it's sold for funds. So I suppose the church is more in need Well, it could be. Hospital fare wasn't very good 60 or 70 years ago, was it? You know, you didn't know, but I did.
No.
I was in there. That's this September. This was always in September. I was in hospital in September when St. Pratt's was on, and I waited the Monday to see what was going to be brought in from the church. Yes, and that was many years ago now. But today, you see, it is sold the following day. All the produce is sold on the Monday, usually Monday or Tuesday. And then they'd have a little social evening and some more refreshments. And so that would end the St. Pratt's festivities now. And of course, that's the Harvest Festival is split from St. Pratt. The harvest is held in October now, whereas St. Pratt is end of September. So it has changed completely from what, and there's no fair. I mean, everybody now got these great lorries, and they can take them off to bigger markets further afield when they got more buyers, and they got to study the prices, I suppose. And of course, the sports, that's all finished. We got our television. I mean, cars now can take you over to Chepstow or anywhere for the horse racing. You don't need to have it on the field. You know, the times have changed so completely. But of course, but St. Pratt, in all people's memories, it'll always be something very special, just once a year. And we had stalls with the sweets and all the fairings, and that would be going on at night, after dark, when they'd have all the flares. And of course the village then, no lighting whatever, it was only the cottage windows had the lights. And when you see all this lit up area around the stalls and all the kids there, you know, it was like fairyland, it was something wonderful, and you look forward to it once a year. And then of course the pub across the road, all the men would be in there singing and drinking their pints and celebrating what they'd made and profited over the weekend. It was a wonderful time.
What did they sing?
Oh, it would be all the hymns mostly. They're great hymn singing area, this is. And of course they had the food ditties, the old-fashioned little brown jug and all these old-fashioned songs, but it could be quite a lot of hymn singing going on. And 10 o'clock, of course, the pubs were shut at 10 o'clock. And everybody would think about going home. No, that was the end of the day, really. Mm.
You have no plans to revive it?
Well, I think the day is gone, isn't it? You know, these days, I mean, who wants to drive a lot of bullocks along the roads these days to get to a fair? I mean, with all the cars around, it wouldn't be safe, would it? We do bring animals brought from a neighbouring farm over here to change the grass sometimes, but then, you know, that takes up the road. You've got to have 2 or 3 people travelling, and probably a car in front and a car behind, and 2 or 3 running by the side. You know, well, of course, I mean, I suppose there used to be several to get the people to the fair years ago, but I think it'd be a bit more hazardous.
What about the sports and the singing and the drinking in the pub? Surely
well, see, we used to have a lot of that. Of course, concerts, and we used to have a lot of concerts and that years ago. But I don't know. I think television have taken over. Mm. I mean, we got a good WI. We had a flourishing WI. But when the TV came in, well, nearly finished. Nobody wanted to go out. They had it all brought in. I think that altered a lot of things in the country.
Well, tell me about it. I'm an arts officer, and to get people away from their TVs and out to see something, doesn't matter what it is.
Encourage them to go.
Yeah, and unless it's somebody really famous, you can't get them out of their houses.
No. Oh, no. Yes, it takes something very special to get people to leave. Mind you, our WI fluctuates. It's bucking up a bit again now, but I think you can get tired of the TV in time, but then something special comes on, like Wycliffe or something like that, and everybody got to stay home that night because they miss something if they don't stay home and watch it, don't they? I don't know. I just my company. I'm up here on my own, and I'd miss it, the TV, if I didn't have it, although I like reading. But eyesight isn't as good as it was. So you sort of sit there and listen to TV, open your eyes occasionally and just see a little bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The telly seems to take over everything.
Well, it does, yeah. Well, you can always tell if there's anything special on the TV and you've got something doing in the village, you don't get the people there.
Well, everyone got video recorders these days,
well,
haven't they?
Well, yes. I haven't, but most people have, I suppose.
No excuse, yeah.
Well, I think probably that may be the answer. You know, probably they'll put that on and go out and live their social life. I think the pubs are more. This pub's up here is very prosperous, I think. That one seems to be getting a lot of people, tell by the cars, lined up through the village.
Not just summer trade, or?
Well, no, I think just probably all year round. Yeah. They're nice people, too. You know, makes a difference who you've got.
Mm.
You know, they can be friendly and nice, or they can be, you know, if they aren't so easy to get on with, they don't get the custom, do they?
True.
No.
Another thing that really makes a village is having a school, isn't it?
Oh, yes. We nearly lost our school. I expect well, Mrs. Cornish told you all about that for certain. Yeah, because she worked hard about that, too.
Fought long and hard for that.
That's right.
But,
well, none of us wanted that school closed. When the school's closed, the village is closed almost, because, I mean, that's the heart of the village, the school. That's where you look to for the future, you know. Oh, no, I was greatly in favour of keeping the school open. I did all my schooling there, and we had good teachers. Mind you, teachers makes a difference. I think probably when Blissland went down a bit was because the teacher was ill and was absent on occasions, which she couldn't avoid, and she was so good they didn't want to lose her, and they had brought in supplies. Well, when you get a supply for a month or so, they are not interested, are they? Not interested the same as one that's there all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, you know, that time the children got a bit uneasy. I think that's probably, because Blissland always had a good name for their school, always. We used to have children coming in my day, children coming from other parishes here. So, I mean, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah. Because we had a good schoolmaster in my time, marvellous chap he was. He used to tell us things and illustrate it with something so that you would remember it. And, you know, it comes to me now very often, if I think about something, the things that he used to say comes back into my mind even after all these years, things he used to say to illustrate something so that you wouldn't forget. Now, I'll tell you one thing he said, telling about smallest things, when you bring it down to the smallest dimension. Well, he said, imagine having a farden bun and having one bite, and how much would you have left? And if you imagine something very small, and you take a bite, bending on the side of your mouth, of course, and, you know, there wouldn't be a lot left there. So that would what be this little small amount he was trying to illustrate to us would be. So
that's good. Huh?
But he was a good schoolmaster, very good master. Yeah.
So, how many of you went to Blissland then? How many people were there?
I think at one time we had 99 on the register, I think, because we had 3 classes and 3 teachers, and the classes were full. I mean, they talked today about big numbers in schools, and 30 in a class. I think we were more than 30 in the class down there. If we had 3 classes, that would have been 90. So, I mean, we must have had 30 and more in some of the classes.
So how many you go there today then?
Oh, well, they got down to 8 or 9, I think.
Oh.
Now they're up to 22, so they were allowed to have a second teacher now. So that's one step forward.
It's on the way up.
Yeah, because we had 3 classes and 3 teachers, and there'd be, well, you wouldn't have the people coming in, auxiliaries or whatever they call them, coming in to help out. The teacher would be there full time, and that would be his job. But now I think, because there's so much paperwork. I don't know why they need so much paperwork. They didn't have so much in our day. Don't know why they need so much. But then that needs a person, full-time almost, now to take it off the teacher's hands.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of teachers that laugh to hear that, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're having to teach and do the paperwork.
That's right. And see, they can't put their mind to both. Not at the same time anyway. You know, they got to share their work out a bit, and then something's bound to slide.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's good. So well,
being the Cornish mother there. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, she's broadened her accent, she broadened her vowels a bit, but she didn't sound Cornish all the same. Just different, wasn't it? Well, I mean, all of them, but she especially, because I've seen her in other things, and I thought, well, no, she's trying, but didn't bring it off exactly.
Oh, do you think they should use Cornish actors, maybe, so they get the voice right?
Well, why don't they? Because you find heaps of things when they do Cornish programmes. You see, years ago, they wouldn't have a Cornish sound on TV, would they? It'd be all Oxford accents. Well, now you got your regional accents when some of the announcers and presenters. Well, it's just lovely to hear the different regions, and I've got to hear for it. And I think, so, oh yeah, they come from so-and-so, or they're so-and-so, you know. And it's lovely to hear that, because, I mean, we don't all speak, I mean, I couldn't possibly speak with an Oxford accent, no more than they can speak with my Cornish accent.
That's right. Nothing wrong with your accent, though. It's something to be proud of. Really.
Well, I said they look down on people if they speak in a dialect sort of way, but just the way we were born, we can help that. You can't deny your birth and your upbringing, really, can you? Bound to come out somewhere.
Good point. Did you watch Poldark at all?
Poldark. Oh, that was Poldark. That was a long time ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had
They had the second run, but I didn't see it. Now, that's when the TV, when they were running Poldark, we noticed the things in the village was a bit scant. But I saw the first episode, the first run, when they had Harrod Rees and Robin Ellison, and you know, that was real good, I thought. But then some of those really spoke very good, but then there again, they didn't have enough Cornish voices really in that. She ain't just supposed to be Cornish. Did they?
You didn't see the second one?
I didn't see the second one, no.
Oh, well, just as well. They had Poldark's son, and he sort of spoke a cross between sort of American and Irish. It sounded really funny.
Oh, yeah. Of course, when you have the real Irish brogue, you can't mistake that, can you? No. Some of the jockeys, I watch the racing, some of the jockeys are Irish, and you can tell if they interview them, you can tell where they come from. You know? Well, just lovely. And then the Scottish people, get the Scottish people in. Well, why should they not have their own accents, really? I think they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Sometimes in schools now, the kids study adverts on TV.
Mm.
And it's always the north of England sells beer, and it's always like a West Country type accent for selling bread and stuff.
When they got the Ovis, when they coming up on that hill with their bike selling Ovis.
Yeah. It's quite some accents are used for selling
different things, yeah.
things.
And of course, that's what's sticking in your mind. But why can't they? Well, people in Cornwall can act, can't they? Why can't they have Cornish actors and actresses to do Cornish stories? I'm sure Mrs. Rose Warren, I think she's called Mrs. Rose Warren in her act. She's Rilla Miller, I think is her proper name, something like that, but she's always known as Mrs. Rose Warren. But I'm sure she would have done that job as the mother in Wycliffe last week, and you would have known she was a Cornish woman.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
There's always a danger though, because like a Camden Madruth accent is completely different to the accent around here, which is different.
Yeah, but we recognise that as Cornish. You know, we recognise that as Cornish. They would probably recognise our accent as Cornish when you're in Cornwall. Other people out country, they wouldn't know the difference.
Well, I don't think they know the difference between somebody from Penzance and somebody from Bristol.
No, they wouldn't, no. But then we that got the ear for it would. We got people down below, well, they come from Bristol. And I mean, I saw, or I overheard somebody talking the other day, oh, no, somebody here from Bristol. You can tell it, can't you, the different bits. Yeah.
Can you tell where people are in bits of Cornwall from the way they speak?
Well, quite a lot of people. You can pick out the St. Austell people usually, and the ones from down west, of course, it's Verdruth and Camber mostly. But lower down than that, they got a little different accent again, down on the Land's End and the sort of areas down that way. It's a little bit different again. Mm.
So there's a difference between sort of Camber and Verdruth and Land's End and Lizard.
That's right, yeah. And then coming up to St. Austell's a bit different. So I've told, so we're accustomed to this. We don't take any notice of this accent up this area, but I expect somebody else would notice that we speak differently or sound differently from the others, don't they? I know we can always tell the Verdruth accent or the Camber accent. Yeah. They seem to stand out more than any other in Cornwall, I think. The bigger area, perhaps. Or perhaps they speak, perhaps they're on the public, coming to the public notice a bit more, that area, than the ones up this way.
I think
heard more.
I think it's you said St Austell people have a specific accent. Well, really, St Austell, the Clay area, are much the same.
Right.
If you've got an industry there where people are all working together,
That's right.
and they're doing something technical and advanced or whatever, then they develop their own. They keep their own dialect.
That's right.
And in Canberra and Madrid, it was mining. When the mine stopped, Ullman still carried on making mining equipment for the world. And
they were enclosed
there was work to do.
Yeah.
You know, in the tin area. That's why in Canberra and Madrid have got a distinct accent. I think that's why the St Austell people.
Not so many moved in, you see. They reserved their own little community. Just when other people move in and mix the accents up, that they get changed, I think, probably.
You see, you said St Austell people have their own accent.
Well, I got cousins there in St Austell, and if I heard one speak, I mean, I would know. Well, that's because I recognise the voice. But there's a little different intonation with them. I can't tell you offhand what it is, but if I heard it, I say, well, that's St Austell. You know, just there. You can hear it.
Is there a specific accent for the more up here?
But I should probably a little bit, I can't say gruff exactly, lower tone perhaps. Would it be? I wouldn't know how you would describe it. Probably up here. We got a bit more gravelly voice, perhaps up this way, than they've got downwards, and I don't know why that would be. Burr, bit of more of a burr, perhaps.
Is there an accent around Denable and up there, you think?
Well, there's singers up Delabo, a lot of singers up Delabo, and probably that would come out of their voice. They bring it out by their singing, and they couldn't stay there probably. I had cousins up there, two great singers, and they were gold medalists, and they had very nice sounding voices that they didn't seem to strike me as having any particular accent. But then, I mean, that's years ago I'm speaking of. What have happened this last 20 years? I mean, influx of all the world have come in Cornwall this last 30 years. I suppose, you know, there's so many, the blood is filtered out a bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's surprising, because now I was in physiotherapy the other day. I broke my shoulder, and the different physios that I had there, and one girl came in and she was there talking to her, and I thought, where did she come from? So-and-so. Said, so? End of her sentence, she would always raise her voice. And I thought, God, I know where that accent is, and I couldn't think for a minute. After I came home, I thought, oh, but she's Australian, I believe. So next time I went in, I didn't have her. I had somebody else. I said, where's that Australian young woman that was here last week when I was in? Oh, she's gone so-and-so. So I said, when did she come over from Australia? Oh, she hadn't been here for a little while. She's doing her course. So I was right then. It was Australian. But you see, all these little bits, she raised her, end of her sentence, she raised her voice every time. And Australians do that, don't they? And I think if you listen, you can almost tell, if you hear a voice a few times, you can almost tell what country, because Canadians, there's a Canadian woman up in the village. And she's lovely. And when I hear a voice, I think, oh gosh, that must be Canadian, because she sounds exactly like Rosie. You know, that you get, if you listen for that and you're inclined to listen to it, it's just surprising how you can pick out the different countries. And of course, the Americans are well known for their drawl and that.
So you were saying you hear all these accents from all over the world.
Yeah, if you listen for it, you can usually hear it, can't you? Yeah.
And there's a Cornish accent as well.
Yeah. Oh well, now I tell you, in Cornwall we don't sound our G's, do we? We don't say feeling, wishing, just feeling, wishing. We cut off that G. And then there's H. We don't use our H's like we should. So I said we're saving on time, I think, because we speak fast. And I think the quicker we speak, the less words we can use, and the less letters we can put in the words. But that's what I noticed most about British. Yeah. And we do sound our R's. When you say, you listen on there sometimes and you say fair, fair, go to the fair. Well, we say go to the fair, fair. So that R on the end of everything, don't we?
Very true.